Everybody says need to know your why. You know what the challenge of most entrepreneurs is? They all know their why. They don't know how. And nobody's talking about how. Somebody tell an entrepreneur how to build a team, how to build system, how to build strategy. That is real education that they will value, and that will change their life.
This is episode number 65 of The Inspiring Talk with entrepreneur Rajiv Talreja. Welcome guys to The Inspiring Talk. My name is Bijay Gautam. I'm host for this show. Each week I interview today's most successful and inspiring personalities to help you realize your inner potential. I'm very excited for this episode, my friend. My guest today is a serial entrepreneur, best-selling author of the book Lead or Bleed, and one of the leading business coaches in India. Rajiv Talreja has been an entrepreneur and business coach for over a decade. He has impacted over 500,000 people through his coaching and training programs across the world. He travels extensively to share his insights and systems on building and scaling your business. He teaches a program called Business P.A.C.E program, where he teaches how one can grow their business without them. He was selected as one of the top 10 future leaders in India by Better Future, Netherlands. You might have seen or heard about Rajiv on Zee Business, Entrepreneur India, The Economic Times, and Business World, among others. I have met Rajiv at one of his events and learned a ton on scaling my business. On this episode, you will learn a lot of things about building and scaling your business. We discuss about mindset of really successful entrepreneurs, finding partners for your business, building a team, and mistakes to avoid in business, and a lot more. Before we jump in, make sure to subscribe to the Inspiring Talk podcast wherever you are listening to this podcast from, so that you won't miss upcoming episodes with some of the most amazing guests that I bring on this show. Now, without further ado, let me welcome the one and only Rajiv Talreja. Welcome guys, inside this episode we have Rajiv Talreja here with us today. Rajiv, thank you so much for joining me. It's an absolute pleasure in having you here.
Thank you, Bijay, for having me on the show, and a very warm welcome to all your listeners.
Rajiv, I've heard you speak at National Achievers Conference and eventually attended your Business P.A.C.E program. And I must say, it blew my mind. The insights and information, that you have shared on those 3 days had changed the way I look at my business. Right? Being the first-time entrepreneur myself, going through that program has helped me in terms of understanding the business better. So I'd like to thank you, at the first thing on this podcast itself, because I'm pretty grateful for you to design that kind of program. And, I feel myself quite lucky for being able to attend that program when I'm just, new in this game of entrepreneurship. So yeah.
Thank you. Thank you for your kindness, Bijay.
I knew at that program that I need to get you on the show and, share the insights that you have with my listeners as well. And if you remember, I walked up to you after that program and asked you, Rajiv, I need to get you on the show, and, I'm going to send you an invite. And here we are. So thanks again for being here on the show. So I think the good place to start this conversation, Rajiv, would be by sharing how you became an entrepreneur. What's your story?
I'm an entrepreneur by force, not an entrepreneur by choice. So I'm not going to start by saying I was born to be an entrepreneur, or I desired always to be an entrepreneur. I come from a Sindhi middle class family where my dad was a retailer and he had a mobile store, and he was one of those dads who you would hate as a teenage son because his only goal was to make your life hell. So my dad had rules for me. He would say 4 o'clock college ends, by 4:30 you got to be at the dukan. So every day my life was college till 4, and then 4:30 sit in the shop, sell mobile phones. And I hated that because my friends were freaking out, having fun in cafes and pubs of Bangalore. So My only goal was to get out of my dad's business, and therefore I wanted to pursue the great Indian career dream, which was to get a job after college, okay, get placed out of campus recruitments, then work for 2 years, and then write all the competitive exams, get into one of the top 10 B schools in India. Then from there, go abroad, work till 40, and at 40, watch the movie Swades 3 times, feel patriotic, come back and start my own business. So I had this career graph charted out for myself while I was in college. In the final year of my college, I got a pretty good job as well. And I took the offer letter. I went to my father, and he tore the offer letter. And he said that if they are willing to pay you a good amount of money, it means you're way more worth it than that. So you will not take up a job, you'll start your own business, and you won't do business with me. You have to start something of your own. So for me, indirectly, that was mission accomplished. I didn't want to work with my dad. So
Awesome.
I'm always grateful to him for being that person who was tough at the right time and knew how to let go of me at the right time as well. So I'm an entrepreneur by force because my dad forced me to be an entrepreneur. That's how I started.
I think that's a very strong point, Rajiv, that you have made about your dad being a strict person when it needed to be, and then letting you go when he knew that now figure out the way for yourself, which is pretty interesting. If you have to look back and share some of the entrepreneurship lessons that you have learned from your dad, what would those lessons that you have, got from your dad as an entrepreneur?
So I think two most important lessons that I got from my dad. One was discipline, which was that, you know what, a lot of people talk about doing what you love. And my dad said that if you do what you love, you will be in your comfort zone. You got to do what is necessary. And I feel that's a very relevant message for entrepreneurs, especially in today's era, especially the millennial entrepreneurs, because somewhere this we as millennials believe that it's all about doing what you love, it's all about being free spirited and all of that. But I feel that success is not just in doing what you love, but doing what is necessary. So my dad gave me very strong lessons in discipline. Like his work ethic was amazing. I've seen him for 35 years wake up and open his store at 9 in the morning and shut it at 9:30, 10 at night, and he would not waver in between. So discipline was one strong lesson I got from my dad. The other big lesson I got from my dad was I started my venture in 2006. In 2009, I went under a loss of 25 lakhs. Most parents would freak out, get scared, beat their chest, break their bangles, saying, "What the hell, you've lost money." My dad just told me one thing. He said, "You're 23 years old, you are in a 25 lakh debt. Don't worry, continue. By the age of 30, you'll be a millionaire." He didn't give me money, he gave me courage. And I think that is more valuable than just him giving money to me. So I think courage and discipline, these are the two things that I took away from my dad's entrepreneurship experience.
I think that's another very important thing that you have mentioned, Rajiv, giving courage to your kids when they are even, at that particular moment are failing or not making it the way they want. So another thing that you also talk about a lot is putting yourself in the environment of the people who support you and, who pushes you to, achieve more and more. So I think that's a very powerful lesson there. So you mentioned a bit about going on a debt in 2009, and as a 23-year-old, that was like a big challenge for you at that moment, right? So I'm sure like yeah, please go ahead.
Yeah, so that was the first round of debt. I went into another round in 2012, which was bigger and better. So
Yeah, I'm sure like your entrepreneurial journey was not a smooth ride. There has been ups and downs. So maybe why don't you go ahead and talk about some of the biggest challenges that you have faced and the lessons learned out of those challenges?
yeah. So I started as an entrepreneur in 2006. I started as a 20-year-old kid. My idea was to start a corporate training company because I was fascinated by teaching, coaching, supporting people, helping them learn and grow. So I said, I'll go out there and I'll teach corporates and their employees how to grow their business. Now, those of you are listening would actually understand that for a 20-year-old kid to think that is quite an irrational and a stupid idea. I didn't believe it was a stupid idea until the market told me that. So I had 102 rejections. So that
Wow.
was my first level of challenge, where I had 102 organizations that had meetings with the HR and training managers. And I got the same answer: "You're too young, you don't have any experience," which was a very valid answer. Back then, it would
Yeah, but
frustrate me.
how did you get that idea of like getting into training overall?
So,
What fascinated you?
what fascinated me about training was I'm actually a student of training. I got impacted by training. After my first year of BCom, I had applied for an entrance exam for the National Law School of India University, NLSIU in Bangalore, and I missed the admission by 0.25 marks. So there are
Oh,
56 students that get taken in general merit, and I was number 57. So that broke my heart. At that point of time, that was the low. And I happened to attend a workshop within 2 months of that failure. So at that stage of your life, not cracking, coming so close and not cracking the exam was a failure. So for me, this transformational training that I attended actually opened my eyes to, hey, you know what? We are not equipped to handle situations in life. The traditional education system is filled with garb. This is real education. So that's how I got fascinated by training and coaching. I started watching a lot of videos online back then, and I started reading a couple of books. I'm not too much of a reader myself, but I read a couple of books, and I thought, okay, this is the space that I want to grow in. So that's how the idea of my first business, Quantum Leap, came about. So I went around, got 102 rejections, and then I cracked my first client by saying, "Don't pay me a penny." It was an MNC, and I told them, "Don't give me even 1 rupee. Give me a team. Give me a goal. I'll coach that team to achieve that goal. Pay me on performance." So that's how my journey started as an entrepreneur. For the first 2 years, I did quite a lot of assignments by myself, but then I realized that I don't want to be a consultant. I wanted to build a company. And I started hiring, and I faced the most obvious challenge that my team could not do what I was capable of doing. And that's when the second challenge happened on how do you build a team in this business, which is a people centric business. So we kind of pivoted, went into, from coaching, we took like a step down and went into soft skills, leadership, communication, all those kind of trainings. I thought that's a good way of developing my team. That business was a very hardworking business, but a very hardly paying business. In India,
true,
unfortunately, trainers and coaches are not valued like anywhere else in the world. Purely because, number one, the supply is too high. Every street, nook and corner, every second person on LinkedIn you see is a trainer, coach, consultant.
true,
So obviously the demand and supply battle, the suppliers lose in the Indian market. So I did corporate training, built the business. The company had 110 clients, so we had 110 logos flashing on our website. So anybody who would come to the website would be like, wow, inspiring. Being an Indian origin training organization, these guys have captured the market this way. But the truth was, we were not making money. As business partners, we would take nothing home. So that's when I started my second business along with my then girlfriend, now wife, which was into events. She was an expert at events. Then I started a recruitment business. I started an outsourcing project management company. And it felt good to have four logos on your business card and your business card reading serial entrepreneur. But the truth still was that I was doing so many things because I was not making money out of my primary business. And that has been my second big lesson, that don't be an opportunist. Build one thing and scale it up. I see a lot of small, micro, and solo entrepreneurs who say, I do real estate, I do insurance, I do mutual funds. And I know that they're doing all of this not because they are experts at all of it or they love doing all of it. They're doing all of it because one is not enough, that one is not profitable, that one is not scalable. So I've had a whole bunch of interesting lessons on how as entrepreneurs we become desperate, we don't make the right decisions, we become opportunists and run behind wherever we see an opportunity without asking ourselves what do we want to build. So I would say from 2006 to 2014, the first 8 years as an entrepreneur was tragic. And the biggest proof of that tragedy was I went bust twice. Once at the age of 23, I went into 25 lakh loss. The bigger loss happened in 2012 when I was 26. I had these four businesses. I had to shut the recruitment business down, shut the outsourcing business down. I went into a 70 lakh loss, a 45 lakh personal debt. And then from 2012, I still didn't learn my lesson. Till 2014, I was looking for shortcuts, get rich quick methods. Someone told me do real estate, joint venture, facilitate that, do copper scrap trading, do that, you'll make money. So,
true.
in a sense, I've been a disaster of an entrepreneur, and 2014 is when life changed.
So maybe you want to go ahead and talk about that life-changing moment, or when you had that light bulb moment or the realization that okay, this is what I have been doing wrong all my life.
Yeah. So the life changing moment actually happened at a bar. What a spiritual place to have a life changing moment. I was sitting with a friend of mine. I don't drink, he drinks. So he was 4 pegs down. And he looked at me and he said, I want to tell you something, bro. I said, go ahead. He said, you're a genius, man. I said, what's wrong with you? I'm telling you, people are calling me and abusing me. I owe them money and you're calling me a genius. He said, you work 16 to 18 hours a day, correct? I said, yeah, I work 16 to 18 hours a day. He said, you work 7 days a week, correct? I said, yeah, I work 7 days a week. He said, even after working for 16 to 18 hours a day, 7 days a week, you're not making money. That's why you're a genius. And I was like, I don't know if your audience understands Hindi, but I was like, Sale, tu le raha hai ki de raha hai? And that conversation got me thinking that, hey, I've always had people around me tell me I'm very, very intelligent. I've always had people appreciating me about my work ethic, that I'm very, very hardworking. And even after being intelligent and hardworking, if I'm not making money, there's something wrong here. So that's the moment I realized that my definition of what it takes to be successful is actually wrong. It's not just about being intelligent and hardworking, there's something more to it. So that's when what I decided is I want to go learn from people who've built successful businesses. What does it take to build a profitable and a scalable business and a brand? So I went across India. I interviewed 300 CEOs, like how you interview uh, experts on your podcast show. I interviewed 300 CEOs who built some of the most successful brands in the country. People like Kiran Mazumdar Shaw of Biocon, Ashok Suta of Happiest Minds Technology, CK Kumaravel of Natural Salon and Spa. And out of these 300 interviews, I asked them only two questions. What is the psychology of building a successful business? Two, what are the systems of building a successful business? Because I thought it was a mindset game as well as a system game. There's a method to the madness, according to me. Now, through these 300 interviews, I could identify common patterns. I took some of these common patterns and simplified it further for a small and medium business, because when you're small, when you're micro, the rules are a little different from when you reach up that scale up stage. So my interviews were focused with these people on when they were small and micro, what did they do to scale up? Because we all read about the latest acquisitions of Biocon or the growth of Happiest Minds or the growth of Natural Salon. Today we read about it in the newspaper. That information is not unique. It's available to us. But my interviews were focused on what did you do when you were micro, when you were small, when you were solo? What were those decisions that actually helped you scale up? So I took all of these lessons. I started applying it on my own business, translated it into a book titled Lead or Bleed. The book went on to be a bestseller. It was not intended. I would be a liar if I said that I was writing the book for it to become a bestseller. I had only two reasons to write a book. One, I thought my family and friends can read it and benefit from all these interviews. Two was that for me, this was like a legacy project. I was like, okay, I'll tell my kids, at least if I was not that great an entrepreneur, I wrote a book. Okay, so these are my two intentions. But when I launched the book, I had two shocks. Number one, none of my family and friends bought the book. They wanted it for free. And second was that the book went on to become a bestseller in 4 categories on Amazon. I was like, shit, how is this happening? I mean, I tried everything and nothing
True.
worked. And now this book was intended just for learning, and suddenly life is changing. And that's where another big lesson came, that when you do things for the right reasons, the right results happen. When you do things for the wrong reasons, for your selfishness, desperation, greed, the universe plays its game with you. It teases you, it seduces you into the opportunity, and then does not give it to you. So I've had these bunch of interesting lessons through this journey.
I think that's a very, interesting way that you have summarized the whole thing. If you do things for the right reason, then universe rewards you in the way. And if you do things for yourself or for the wrong reasons, then the punishment comes along, or you keep struggling. So that's pretty interesting. One of the things that you said, that you went on to interview these people and you wanted to understand is the psychology of business. So if you have to now, after so many years of interviewing those people and teaching a lot of people about the business and entrepreneurship, what are those few things that you have seen, or those trends that you have seen in terms of what is that psychology these great entrepreneurs have, which the struggling entrepreneur maybe possibly not thinking about?
Oh, that's an easy one to answer because it was glaring in my face. The first thing I learned from all these people is that they are not the best person on their team. And if you see that, that's very contradictory to most struggling entrepreneurs. Most struggling entrepreneurs are struggling because everything in their business is dependent on them. They are the best individual on their team. And all these people who built up scale and have scaled up their businesses, they are not the best on their team. These are people who know how to nurture the best, hire the best, build the best, and not be the best. Because the moment you are the best person on your team, it's the worst for your business, because everything is dependent on you. And if everything's dependent on you, you can never scale up. So that was one glaring thing. I mean, for me, that was a slap on my face, because I always took pride for the first 8 years as an entrepreneur of being the best sales guy on my team, being the best speaker, trainer, coach on my team, being the best recruitment consultant on my team, being the best call center onboarder on my project management business. I was the best at everything. So, and I was proud of it. And for me, when I did these interviews, I realized that if you're intelligent, you actually can't be rich. We take pride in our intelligence. And I was like, wealth creation is a game of nurturing and creating an environment of intelligent people. That's true intelligence. So that was one big glaring lesson, that if everything is dependent on you, you're screwed. You can't scale. The second big psychological difference that I saw in the people who've scaled up and the people who haven't is people who've scaled up always know what they don't know. They always know what they don't know, and they are learning it. Okay. And people who don't scale up, people who get stuck in struggles and survival, when they face challenges, they don't say, I don't know. They say it is impossible. Like, I meet a lot of entrepreneurs while I train and coach thousands now on a monthly basis. I meet a lot of small and medium entrepreneurs who say it's impossible to build a team in my business. And I'm like, no, it's not impossible. You don't know how to build a team in your business. Or people say it's impossible to have systems in the business, and people and it's impossible to get people to follow the systems. No, the truth is you don't know how to build simple systems, and you don't know how to make sure that your team follows those systems. So people who've been able to scale up, they use the word I don't know, I need to learn. People who stay in struggling phase, they are busy saying it's impossible to build a brand, it's impossible to make money, there's too much competition. And they're not saying that they don't know. They are not on the pursuit of learning that, okay, how do I build my capability in this area so that I can challenge my challenge and overcome my challenges. So these are two big differences that I saw.
Wow, I think those are very powerful observation, because yes, I have seen, a lot of people saying it's impossible to build the team, or, it's impossible to scale this business, or using those, words instead of saying, I want to learn about this and I want to figure out, or maybe get somebody who is already, expert on this and help me build this, right? So you talk about this is one of the like pillars that you teach on your P.A.C.E program as well, and other programs as well, which is building your team, how one can build a competent and committed team, right?
Yeah.
But I would like to understand, what are some of the common insecurities or challenges that you have seen on people in building a team for their business?
I think the first big mistake a lot of entrepreneurs make is that they look at building a team as an expense. A lot of them come back and say, Rajiv, hire people, my overheads will go up. I'm not making money already, so how will I be able to pay salaries? I think it's the other way around. You start making money when you have a team, because then you have distributed responsibilities. You delegate and you start doing what's important. You increase your bandwidth to be able to get business. So people who look at hiring as an expense are making a big mistake. Hiring is an investment. And if you're not willing to make that investment, you shouldn't be in business. So that's one big mistake I see when it comes to building teams. The other big mistake I see entrepreneurs make when it comes to building teams is that they want cheap talent. They want to pay less but get the best. It doesn't work that way. You got to pay the price for talent. You may hire someone for a 15,000-20,000 salary a month for a sales job, but the truth is you will end up doing the sales job, and you will have this person you're paying a monthly fixed income. I mean, people need to understand that business is a game of doing the right things. And if you hire someone who's not getting a job anywhere, there's a reason why that person's not getting a job anywhere, because that person's unemployable. Now you got to decide, are you an orphanage who's going to adapt these unemployables, pay them a salary, give them a job, and do their work and not pay yourself? Then you should be nominated for Bharat Ratna, because you are doing more service to society than anybody else. Okay, so I think this thing of I want cheap talent. There's nothing called cheap talent. Cheap and talent does not match. Okay, you got talent comes at a price. You got to be willing to pay that price. And the third biggest mistake that I see entrepreneurs make is once they hire, they think their job is done. Your job starts after hiring, which means you need to manage, you need to review, you need to give people feedback, you need to handhold, you need to train them, coach them, mentor them. That's your job as an entrepreneur. Now, some entrepreneurs argue with me saying, Rajiv, if I have to do all this, I might as well do it by myself. Now, you can do the job for one person or two people by yourself. But if you want to build a scalable business, you got to be okay with hiring and handholding people till they become capable. Now, some entrepreneurs have a challenge in patience. They say, no, 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 I don't have the time, I don't have the patience. I'm like, okay, when you make this statement saying, I don't have the patience, please, firstly, don't be proud of it. Okay, there's nothing to be proud of. That's like acknowledging your biggest weakness, because business is not a get rich quick scheme. It's a get rich sure method if you are willing to put in the time and effort. It would take you 6 months, 8 months to nurture a team member. And that investment, that patience is way better than doing the task of the team member for the rest 40 years of your life. So these are three big mistakes I see people make: looking at hiring as an expense, not hiring the right kind of people, looking for cheap talent, and not nurturing, not being proactive in building the team. That's why it's called building teams. It's not called hiring teams. So one has to
True.
be willing to build.
Yeah, and also to add to that, one of the biggest insecurities that a lot of people have is, what if that person, leaves my organization once I invest that amount of time and energy and efforts to train that team, right? And I'm sure you get this question a lot by people. What's your take on that?
I lick my lips when someone asks me that question, because that's a question where I can feast on. Okay, so here's the reality about people leaving. Nowadays, marriages don't last, leave alone team members lasting. We are not living in an era where a person took up a job and then they would work in that company for 40 years and then take a retirement from that business. That happened in our grandparents' age. That was the industrial revolution. That's when that happened, because there were no opportunities, there were no jobs. So a person got into a job, they lived there, like boss is always right. Even if the boss abused them, they would not quit the job. Today, we have more opportunities. It's natural and it is normal for people to leave. That is the first thing an entrepreneur has to accept before they start building a business. It's natural and normal for people to leave. If you get a heart fail, or if you have a heartbreak because your team member is leaving, then you are too fragile to be an entrepreneur. You shouldn't be an entrepreneur then. Okay. Bigger organizations have more people leaving than smaller organizations, even higher. Now, you don't see a CEO of a big company beating his chest and saying, hum lut gaye, barbad ho gaye because someone left. So today's era, if a person's working with you for 3 to 5 years, and in those 3 to 5 years, you are able to add value to them by teaching them, and they are able to add value to you by contributing to the organizations, it's a win-win equation. Now, if you are of the mindset that what's the point of training and coaching if this person will leave after some time, then what's the point of even hiring them? Okay, it's like saying, I've hired someone on my team, but I won't give them the capabilities and the responsibilities. I'll just pay them for free. That's stupidity. So one has to really understand this, that one of the reasons why people leave is because they're not growing. And why are they not growing? Because they're not capable. Why are they not capable? Because nobody's teaching. So it's a chicken and egg situation. So as an entrepreneur, you got to really back yourself and say, hey, listen, I will teach, I will train, I will create an environment which is positive. I'll create an environment where people are learning and growing from a career point of view, financial point of view. I'll give them all the reasons to not leave. Even after that, if they leave, my quality of performance at my workplace is great because I'm doing all the right things.
Awesome. So let's switch a bit of gear. And, one of the things that I'm fascinated about your own journey, Rajiv, is the fact that you and your business partners have come along a long, long way. You guys stick together through some of the darkest phases in your businesses. So I would like to understand you from your personal experience with working with your business partners. What kind of understanding needs to be there for that kind of long partnership,
Yep.
or being co-founders of an organization?
Yeah, so I get asked this question quite a bit when I go to startup forums for talks. And what I find funny is that I've seen entrepreneurs come to these kind of meetups, startup meetups, and they're raising their hand and saying, "I'm looking for a co-founder. Is anybody there who'd like to partner along with me?" That's probably the worst way of partnering with someone, because I truly believe that being business partners or being co-founders is a very 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 critical thing. That's the start point. That's the point of origin of your business. And just because someone's free, you tag them along as your business partner, that's the worst way of starting. Or just because someone's your friend and you make them your business partner, even worse. Okay. Or just because someone's your professional colleague and you say, oh, chalo, yaar, let's quit together and start something of our own, that's the worst. For me, the key elements of a business partnership is number one, each person on the partner is, say we are three of us here, all three of us are very different, and this is the big mistake people make. They look at partnering with people who are exactly like them. If you're partnering with people like who are exactly like you, there's no point. You need complementary strengths, complementary skills, complementary knowledge, and complementary networks if your business really has to take the leverage of all the partners. Okay, which means what I am good at, my business partners are not good at. What they are good at, I can't do it. So you got to be like pieces of a puzzle that fit into each other, not the same piece of the puzzle. When you have three pieces of the puzzle which are the same, it's a useless puzzle. You can't do anything with it. You can't create the picture perfect. So the first biggest rule is that a great partnership is when you have complementary skills, complementary strengths, complementary attitude as well. Okay, like in the three of us, I am the big dreamer. I have my business partner Karan, who's the detailed guy. He'll break down the dream into details and show me the gaps. Okay, and Pranav is the driver. He's the man who makes sure that everything gets executed. Okay, so it's complementary mindsets also. So that's the first most critical thing one has to look at. That do we have complementary skills? Otherwise, what happens is at the workplace, you take a team member and say, Chal, let's start a business of our own. Let's just say he's a coder, you are a coder, both of you are developers. Both of you are going to end up fighting as to who's going to go to market and sell the product. And both of you are only going to end up competing with each other in terms of who's coding well, who's better in the development side of things. So you got to give, the second thing is you got to give each other space, which means if that's your domain, that's your domain. And I trust that you are doing your best. Okay. Third, you have to hold each other accountable. So it's a paradox. You got to give space and you got to hold each other accountable, which means I trust you. And trust is when we are willing to test each other. So that accountability test is very, very important. So according to me, it's complementary skills, absolute trust and space, and absolute accountability, which means the goal comes first, individuals come second. We will hold each other responsible, and we'll hold each other responsible in a respectful manner. I will not call you an idiot. I may disagree with your approach. So I'll talk about your approach. The challenge is most people haven't learned how to hold each other accountable. They make sarcastic comments, they taunt each other, it becomes an ego battle, and partnerships collapse because of that. So accountability, trust, and complementary skills. These are three ingredients of a great partnership.
Wow, I think those are really great insights for people, listening to these, and also some people who are looking at partners for their business. I think that would be a basic fundamental thing that you need to make sure when you are, looking for partner for your business. Go to networking event and get somebody, and start business together. It doesn't work that way. That's really a great insight there, Rajiv. So, a lot of my listeners, are the people who are on their job and looking at starting their own business, right? So what would be your suggestion to the people who would like to start a business while he is or she is still working on a job? What would be the right approach?
So I'm going to give you a very non-popular answer. Is that okay?
Yeah, sure. Go ahead.
Look, I am all for entrepreneurship. I love being an entrepreneur. I love helping entrepreneurs. That's my business. That's what I do for a living. I work with more than 500 entrepreneurs on a one-to-one basis to help them scale their business. So my life thrives on entrepreneurship. Having said that, I have a warning to give to people. Today, entrepreneurship has become like a fad. It's a fashion show. Everybody thinks it's cool to be an entrepreneur. And I'm not for that mindset at all. Because entrepreneurship is the most uncool thing you can do. And if you can accept that and still do it, then great. Okay. I mean, I've seen people have the wrong reasons to start a business. Reasons like, I want to make more money. Well, if you want to make more money, please talk to an entrepreneur and ask him how much money does he actually make. And you will realize that for the first few years, the entrepreneur makes nothing till they get the model right. So are you willing to go through that phase of no income, no consistent income? If yes, then check. Because this mindset of I want to make a lot of money is a myth in entrepreneurship. The second thing is I want to have free time. Again, reality check. Entrepreneurs work more than employees do. Okay, so please have a reality
So
check.
true.
Okay. Third, I want to be my own boss. Well, if your reason to becoming an entrepreneur is you want to be your own boss, then the truth is that you don't want to be an entrepreneur. You just don't like your existing boss. So you need to find another job and find a new boss. Okay. And the fourth, the worst reason for being an entrepreneur is I want to be an entrepreneur. That's the worst reason, because people think it's a cool tag. And here's what happens. I've literally seen this happen day in, day out. I've seen people become an entrepreneur just because they want to be an entrepreneur. They've started a business, they suck at it, they don't have the capabilities to run it, but their ego is too big to go back. So what do? They end up struggling as an entrepreneur, start living the lie, saying it's not about the money, it's not about, it's about my mission, it's about my passion, it's about my vision. They give all these motivational garb to themselves, damage their family's lifestyle, damage their own self-confidence on the inside, and pretend to be cool and strong on the outside. That's the story of most entrepreneurs. Now, I've given you all the wrong reasons. So someone must be wondering, this guy should at least tell me one right reason for being an entrepreneur. So there's only one right reason for being an entrepreneur. The one right reason for being an entrepreneur is this. If you're passionate and capable, two words, passionate, which means you got to love doing what you do, and you should have the capabilities to do what you want to do. If you're passionate and capable of coming up with a product or a service idea for which people are willing to spend money. Look, I run an investment company. I get startup decks day in, day out. And some of those startup decks makes me cringe because the guy is not in touch with reality. People are coming up with ideas thinking the market's going to shower money on them. But you got to really be in touch with the market. Are people willing to spend money on the products or services I'm offering? So you got.
I think there was time when people, invested threw money on the idea back in 2015 or 2014.
That era is gone. It's gone.
Yeah.
I mean, the amount of money that got burnt, if people have just put it for charity, we would have gotten out of poverty long time back. Okay. We just spent money on massaging egos of entrepreneurs and investors unnecessarily. Okay. So here's the thing. You got to be passionate. You got to be capable, and you got to create something that people are willing to spend their money on. And you should have the vision and the ability to make it scalable. Because if it's not scalable, you rather be in the job. And here's one big disagreement I have with all the trainers, coaches, authors around the world. All the trainers, coaches, authors, the entire personal development industry has made job sound like a rat race, has made people who are in jobs sound like they are a second class citizen helping someone else achieve their dreams. I don't subscribe to that philosophy. I believe if your workplace is paying you well, if you are doing what you are good at doing, you enjoy doing it, and the environment, the people at the workplace are good to be with, and you are having time for yourself and your life beyond work, there's nothing wrong in being in a job. So I don't look at demeaning the job as a rat race. Okay, I say this, that yes, entrepreneurship is the best vehicle for wealth creation. Job is the best vehicle for income generation. Now the truth is, how many entrepreneurs are actually creating wealth? Very few. They're not even generating income. So a person needs to be well informed, well educated. And it's not education that you get in a business school. It's education in the real world. Okay. So a person needs to be well informed to understand that, hey, listen, firstly, why do I want to quit my job? If I have fallen into this trap of this propaganda that job sucks, then I'm a victim. Okay. Probably think about it. How can you be an entrepreneur and build a team and have this mindset of job sucks? It's like looking at your team members every day in your head and saying, oh, you're helping me make my dream come true, loser. You can't do that. Okay. So
true.
I don't subscribe to this philosophy of job suck. And therefore, I like educating entrepreneurs on the right reason of being an entrepreneur. Something that is scalable, something that you're capable of, something that the market will pay money for, something that you'll enjoy doing. If you can check these 4 parameters, then you're set for entrepreneurship.
You talk a lot about building the systems and strategy for the business, which is the basis or foundation of the teachings that you do, like 3 foundation, if I have to say, that you have also mentioned a bit earlier, and we have been discussing as well, are the teams, building a team, and then having a systems in place for the business and developing the strategies, to grow that business, right? So, what are some of the problems that you feel today's entrepreneurs are facing with regards to building their business?
I think the first and the most basic problem is lack of education. No school, no college, no university teaches you entrepreneurship. And the funny part is, business is a science. I always say this: business is a science. Creating a scalable business model, creating a profitable business model is a science. There are tools that you can use to come up with a scalable and a profitable business model. Creating marketing strategies to get new leads is a science. Creating sales systems to replicate sales and not be the only salesperson in your business is a science. Building a high performance team is a science. Creating clear role metrics, measurement metrics, all of this is a science. The unfortunate part is most entrepreneurs are doing business by default and they're still successful, which is brilliant. So, which means if you get this education and then apply it in your business, you can skyrocket the results of your business. So the first big challenge I think entrepreneurs face is lack of education. That's the most basic challenge. The second big challenge that I see entrepreneurs have is very few people are willing to learn, and they are the ones who are actually growing fast. uh, which, see, I always say this: success is easy. The reason I say success is easy, because most of the planet is not pursuing it. you become
So
you
true.
become a little more proactive, and you are ahead of the game. You're way ahead of the game. Okay, so all you need is proactiveness. uh, a lot of people are not proactive, they're reactive, they're firefighting in their business, they're stuck in day-to-day operations, they're not even thinking about growth, they're not even thinking about goals. Okay, for me, I have a simple radar. I keep going back to this. I say this to people: the poor people are thinking of how to make money to survive the day. The middle class are thinking about how to make money to survive the month. The rich are thinking about how to make money to achieve the goals of the year. And the wealthy are thinking about how to make money to create for the generations. And I tell people, here's your reality test. Ask yourself, what is your timeline of worry of money? I'm sure it won't be day, because if it would be day, you wouldn't be listening to podcasts. Okay. It Most people fall into month, even entrepreneurs. They're thinking about, how will I pay salaries on time, rent on time, EMI on time, credit card bills on time. Then you're stuck in the middle class game. And the key is to ask yourself, what are the rich doing different? Once you become rich, what are the wealthy doing different? Now, I know when I use these words, rich and wealthy, a lot of people cringe, because a lot of people nowadays have this thing of money is not everything in life. Look, I'll tell you something. I agree, money is not everything in life. If your health is screwed, money is meaningless. If your relationships are screwed, money is meaningless. But at the same time, I don't like the fact that someone who does not have money says money is not everything. The only time you have the right to say money is not everything is when you made the money. Because if you're saying money is not everything without having the money, that's your way of covering up your incapability of making money. And a lot of people cover up their incapability by pretending to be spiritual. That's my problem. Nowadays, spirituality has become so easy. Anybody can download apps that give you spiritual meditations and you feel you are levitating like Buddha. Okay. It's not the way the world works. Money is important. And the day you fail to see it as important, you start falling in business. Then business is not your game. Go be in a charity then. Okay. So I believe that as entrepreneurs, we got to have these parameters for ourselves. I say this: a batsman is as good as the runs they score, an entrepreneur is as good as the money he makes. Now, some people don't like it because they say it's vision, is this? Yes, it's there. Of course, it's a given you got to be passionate. It's a given you got to have a bigger purpose. It's a given you got to add value to people. That's a given. Let's stop talking about that. Okay. Everybody knows that now. Help. Everybody says need to know your why. You know what the challenge of most entrepreneurs is? They all know their why. They don't know how. And nobody's talking about how. Somebody tell an entrepreneur how to build a team, how to build system, how to build strategy. That is real education that they will value, and that will change their life. Not just telling them you got to have a deeper why, deeper purpose. Okay, great. I have a why. I want to make a difference. I want to scale up. I want to travel the world. I have all of these whys. Now what? So I think there's a lot of misinformation and lack of education, both happening simultaneously.
And I think another thing, obviously, as you mentioned, is not willing to learn, right? So you talk about how you spent, a lot of money in your own self education when you were in the worst phase of your life, investing in the programs and learning, and then that's how you were able to make things for yourself and come out of the challenging situation of the darkest phase in your life. So I think that's a very important lesson there for the people listening out there who assume that learning is not for me, or going out, and I think that's the problem with looking out for information with a lot of people, what I realize is, what is this person going to teach me, or what am I going to learn from you, right? So not valuing the person who is giving the information, which might get them, or which might help them make millions of dollars on the business.
Yeah. So again, for me, I'm glad you brought up that entire learning phase of my life. So in 2014, I started two learning exercises for myself. One was going and interviewing those 300 business leaders, which was, I think, phenomenal learning. The other thing is I invested a lot in training and coaching. I went and attended programs of trainers and coaches from around the world. I invested 40 lakh 67,000 rupees in my re-education while I was in a 45 lakh personal debt. Now, a lot of people ask me, where did you get the money from? Well, the answer is simple. I borrowed money. I begged for money from friends. Okay, I used every line of credit I had. Now, was all the 40 lakh 67,000 rupees worth it? No. I went and attended some trainers and coaches programs that were a sham. I understand that this industry has people who are just scamming people as well. But that didn't kill my belief that, okay, there is not good knowledge available out there. I went and found some really good coaches for myself who helped me build and understand my mistakes and correct those mistakes for myself. So I think I see a lot of people when being a trainer, speaker, or a coach in India is like a abuse. Like the moment you tell someone, oh, I'm a trainer, speaker, coach, they kind of look down upon you. And I empathize with people who look down upon such people, because everybody's calling themselves a trainer, coach, speaker. I trainers, coaches, and speakers ask me, Rajiv, you built such a huge business in this industry. How have you done it? I have only one answer to them: because I'm not a trainer, coach, speaker. I'm an entrepreneur. I have built businesses. Okay. So you got to build a business, because unless you don't build a business, how do you know how to teach people how to build a business? You can't give what you don't have. So even to entrepreneurs who are looking for teachers, who are looking, you got to always ask, if an entrepreneur wants to learn how to create a podcast show, he should not come to Rajiv Talreja. He should come to Bijay. Why? Because Bijay has been there and done that. Bijay has proof of results. Right? So whoever you are learning from, you should always seek proof of results. And with the digital age, with over information available, everybody today is turning a camera on and calling themselves an entrepreneur, a coach, a trainer, India's leading this and India's greatest that. And I'm like, oh God, guys, this is not the way it's supposed to be done. Like, I know people who hire luxury cars just to take a video shot of themselves to showcase that they've made it in life. Guess what? You're going to be bare naked on stage when people come and see through you that you are empty and hollow.
I think it's interesting that you made this point. This morning itself, I was reading this article about a guy who called himself India's youngest IPS officer, and he was a motivational speaker, going and giving all the speeches, and painting the Bharat Sarkar on his car, and doing all that gigs, and then police took him in custody because it all was fake. He was just faking the whole thing. He was just a 12th standard pass.
Exactly. So every industry has that, unfortunately. Now, if your listeners are as they are listening, I have only one appeal to them: learn from someone who's been there and done that. Identify the skill you need to learn, and check if someone's been there and done that. And don't just get fooled by digital presence of people. I do a lot of digital content, and I'm telling you this: my team is very, very proactive about not doing any kind of paid like campaigns. Okay, because you have some guy from some village in some country in the world, and that guy is liking your page because Facebook is boosting it there. Now people are going into these traps. They're seeing someone with 8.5 million followers. They think, oh, he's God's gift to mankind. It doesn't work that way. See content. See the content of the person. See the intent of the person. That will tell you whether this is good enough or not. Yeah. So it's a great space. So I'm very inquisitive what's going to happen in the next 3 years in the learning space in India, because it's booming. So many people are getting into it. So many people are getting out of it. So many people are wanting to begin to learn. It's going to be a very, very fascinating time.
Absolutely. So I have just got a few more questions before we jump into enlightening round.
Yeah.
Rajiv, one of the things that you have mentioned during the program that I attended of yours is and which I could also relate a lot, is that you being an introvert, right? I myself, when it comes to one to many, or when I'm on stage, like, I'm good at it, but I really struggle when it comes to having one to one conversations, unless I have something to discuss with that person, right? So have you found a way to become better at it, or is there something that you have been doing to get better at it?
So I keep oscillating, Vijay, in all honesty. The oscillation has been between sometimes feeling I'm an introvert, that's how I am, and that's how I want to be. It's okay. There's nothing wrong in it. And sometimes it has been, no, I need to challenge myself. I need to get out of my comfort zone. I need to have conversations with people. I need to connect with people, talk non work conversations. It's easy for me to talk work. Okay.
Same for me,
And
yeah.
that's probably an introvert's curse. When they love doing what they do, they can only talk about it, right? So in that sense, I found my peace and balance with the fact that I know who are the important people in my life. It's my wife, it's my parents, and so I don't give myself the reason of I'm an introvert with them. Okay, I'm outside, I'm connecting, I'm
Absolutely.
having
Yeah.
conversations, I'm listening, right? I'm doing all of that. And I spare myself from the champagne clinging glasses in those pastry parties. I spare myself from those kind of environments because I don't fit in. I genuinely don't fit in. I can't, I don't want to. Okay, so I've kind of found my peace there, saying it's okay to be an introvert, but then that cannot be a reason to not connect with the people who love you the most and who you love the most. And at the same time, you don't have to be in environments and be someone else that you're not, just because that's the norm.
Yeah, I think I kind of struggle in that space myself a lot, because as you said, I don't feel, I just don't fit on those environments, and I often feel that why am I here? I just don't fit in this environment. So I just wanted to know, how do you feel about that?
Oh,
Because
I feel
you
that.
have
I feel
mentioned
that
that.
a lot of times. It's okay. It's just normal.
Yeah, all right. Thanks for that reassurance. So, what would be your message to that 20 years old Rajiv in 25 lakhs theft in 2009?
I think the only thing I would look back and say you did the right things, because everything that happened has led to this moment. So it's perfect. I mean, I don't know if there was anything else I could have, should have, or thought of doing. So yeah, I just look at it as if we are all just connecting the dots.
And Rajiv, you are so much fun to listen to. And if I don't talk about this on this podcast, then this would be incomplete. And I even posted on Instagram saying that this guy should be on some of those stand-up comedy, because you make it so fun, and you are such a fun person to listen to. And your energy, by this time my listeners must have got a sense of the passion and energy that you bring on the table. And you keep traveling and speaking a lot around the world. So what are some of the practices that are non-negotiable for you to keep that energy up?
Now you made me sound like I'm some philosophical genius who does seven chakra healing in the morning. Uh, but in all honesty, I keep it very, very simple. I prepare every time I go up on stage. I prepare because I feel that if I don't prepare, and when I mean by preparation, I don't sit and write my script, but I write key pointers, like a timeline for myself, purely because I feel if I don't do that, I'm taking the stage for granted. The stage is new every day, the audience is new every day. You may be speaking the same thing for the 100th time, but the person sitting there in the audience is listening to it for the first time. So I prepare. For
So
me,
true.
that's my one way of staying grounded. Second is I celebrate the fact that I get the opportunity to go speak on stage, because in all honesty, if someone would have asked me, Rajiv, would you be traveling across the world teaching entrepreneurs how to scale their business, speaking on some of the biggest stages, sharing the stage with some of the greats of the world, if they would have told me this 4 years back, I would have laughed and said, Pagal hai kya? Okay. But the truth is that for me, whatever I do today, I look at it as a blessing. So I'm always in this gratitude mode, thanking God for this. And the third thing is I like to keep it real. I can't fake it. I like I cringe when I watch people who put up an accent and try to be very eloquent. I said, let's leave that for Shashi Tharoor. We can't speak that language. Okay, so I like to be real. I like to um, take things from everyday life, thoughts from everyday life, and put it out on stage. Speak the unspoken that is obvious to everyone. That's when people connect to you. So I don't like going in this very, very professional mode of speaking and teaching, where I say, "Hi, my name is Rajiv Talreja. I'm going to teach you 3 points." I'm like, what shit? Who talks like that in real life? Nobody does. Okay, nobody does. So I like to keep my tone, my way, my approach very casual and real.
And I think that helps audience connect up in much better way to you when you are on stage as compared to I have attended other programs as well. And some of these are like a very renowned people, global people, and somehow I could feel that I couldn't connect with them. But when you were there on the stage, I could instantly connect because you bring those real life daily stories, and so I could essentially feel that this person is one of us.
Yep.
Like he is not somebody who just if I use your word, somebody who just dropped on the stage and started talking, right? So this guy is one of us. So that's awesome. So are you ready for the enlightening round?
Let's go for it. Let the lightning strike.
All right. So, Rajiv, you travel around the world to inspire entrepreneurs and share them the strategies on how to grow and build a business. So, you have inspired so many people out there. So, what inspires you to do everything that you do?
I think I am always reminded of this one day when I was bust, and I had $100 in my wallet, and that $100 got stolen, and that was $100 for filling fuel in my Activa so that I could go for a sales meeting. And when I work with entrepreneurs, I've consciously chosen to work with micro, small, and medium entrepreneurs. Though I get a lot of corporate offers, I prefer working with micro, small, and medium entrepreneurs because I feel that that is one audience that everybody ignores. And that's the audience, if I'm able to extend support to, that's actually the audience that is the real economic engine of this country. So what inspires me is that I am providing my know-how, my knowledge, my strategies and systems to people who value it, who need it, and add the maximum value to this country. And knowing that I didn't have someone like me through my struggles, that inspires me the most, that I am able to be that someone for somebody else.
Which one daily habit do you believe has been game changer for you in your success journey?
One daily habit has been to switch off from work. I consciously switch off from work. I mean, me and my wife have a ritual of 1.5 hours of undiluted conversations with each other, not even watching television together. Because I think, I always say this, as entrepreneurs, you will never run out of work. You can go on 24/7. But the key is to switch off, give yourself that break, understand that your work is a part of your life and it's not your life. Live that holistic life, and then come back the next day with full energy.
Could you share a book or two that has influenced you in the recent past?
I would obviously recommend Lead or Bleed, the book I authored. Shamelessly, promotion, ad break, ladies and gentlemen, buy the book. Okay, but jokes apart, I think the Bhagavad Gita has been my biggest inspirational book. There's, I'm not a right-wing Hindu fundamentalist. I'm just saying that it has great, deep knowledge, and it's probably the book that is on my bedside every day. I just kind of open a page, read a summary, and it kind of gives you a life lesson. So the Bhagavad Gita is one book. Quite early on, it was 21 Irrefutable Laws of Leadership by John Maxwell. I really loved the way he simplified the laws of leadership in that book. So these would be two books.
So Rajiv, if you were to start this success journey all over again, what are those 3 things that you would have done differently?
Like I said earlier, I think I would have done the same things. And I mean it when I say it, purely because of the fact that I'm a true believer that everything that happens with us is for us. So even the bad times happened so that it could lead up to this level of depth, maturity, understanding. So if I were to say that no, I wouldn't want my bad phase to happen, then this good phase wouldn't have happened. So in all honesty, there's nothing I'd like to change.
Awesome. So could you share online tool or app that you use on a regular basis? Maybe that has helped you in terms of becoming more productive, or maybe being more organized, or of that sort.
So being a millennial, I'm an outdated millennial. I'm not too much of an app guy. The only apps that actually help me is Facebook, LinkedIn, YouTube, okay, Twitter, these Instagram. I live my life on these platforms, but otherwise I'm not the tech fascinated guy who says, okay, let me try this meeting scheduling tool, or let me try this CRM solution. I'm a traditional notebook and pen guy, and I believe truly that writing is a phenomenal practice. Okay, so I journal stuff. I have a planner which is pen and paper based. I completely believe in pen and paper. I've still not upgraded. I'm outdated in this way, so don't take my advice, ladies and gentlemen.
All right, Rajiv, we have come to an end of enlightening round. I have one more question, but before that, I would like to thank you so much for sharing all the insights. And if people would like to learn more about you and connect with you, and obviously you may want to talk about the new thing that you are cooking up and posting a lot about on your Instagram, what is that, and how can basically people connect with you?
So I'm not going to tell you what the new thing is because my team will kill me. We're doing the launch on the 6th of June.
This podcast will go live after that,
okay.
So you can.
No, come on Instagram, ladies and gentlemen. That's all I would say. Even Bijay should not know it. I can't reveal it. So
Cool.
yeah, but the best way of reaching out to me is either people can visit my website, rajivtalreja.com. It's RAJIVTALREJA.com. Or they can just search Rajiv Talreja on Facebook, LinkedIn, Instagram. I'm very active. I answer all questions. I'm on the phone all the time. Because my business is working without me, so I'm jobless. So that's all I do. Yeah. So yeah, I'd love to connect with people and entrepreneurs. Yeah.
All right, guys, make sure that you check Rajiv. He is one of those people who is worth following in business in India, and make sure that you pick his book, Lead or Bleed. Phenomenal insights out there. And if you happen to come across one of his seminars on your cities, I highly recommend his programs, because I have been there and I know the kind of content that he teach, and I know the systems that he teaches are superb and well researched. As Rajiv says, business is a science, and he teaches you those science. So that's just go ahead and follow him and learn more from him. Ask him questions about the business or the challenges or struggles that you are facing on your business. So Rajiv, here's the last question for you.
Let's go for it.
So imagine that there is this largest ever built stadium in this world. I have seen you talking to 1,700 entrepreneurs, but this one is the largest that has ever been built in the history of the world, which can, accommodate millions of people. And there are millions and millions of entrepreneurs, let's say, or maybe people. Okay, let's take entrepreneurs out of the equation, and let's say people, millions of people sitting on that stadium and eagerly and passionately waiting to listen to you. And you were given only 1 minute of the time to share the most important lesson that you have learned in your life. What would be your message?
Well, I think it's a very straightforward thing, because this something has changed my life. So I would say this: if you're not willing to learn, nothing can help you. And if you're determined to learn, nothing can stop you.
Go and learn. Thank you so much, Rajiv. It has been phenomenal having conversation with you.
Thank you, Bijay. Thank you for having me on the show.
There you have it. You can access all the links and resources mentioned on this episode at theinspiringtalk.com/6565. I hope you learned something or got some inspiration. If you did, make sure that you share this episode with your friends and family on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. Please help me in spreading these amazing insights shared by Rajiv with as many people possible. I'm sure the insights on this episode will change the way you do your business. Rajiv's content has changed my perspective and the way I look at my business, and I'm sure it will change yours as well. Thank you so much for listening. I'll catch you in the next. Now, go out there and do something inspiring.